Fair warning, this is gonna be weirder than usual.
I've been playing Remedy's recent action third-person shooter, Control, now for a good few weeks, and man, it is so much fun, and a little addictive, might I add. It's gotten to the point where I've grinded the game so hard that I've ended up earning all the trophies for the base game and both DLCs. Yeah, I really have nothing better to do these days. As for today, what I wanted to do was share with all of you my experience playing through this mind-bendingly weird game called... I'm going to be completely transparent here and say that I have tangled with games like Control in the past, like Remedy's previous game, 𝗧𝗪𝗜𝗧𝗧𝗘𝗥. This game is very similar to that game in the way it lays out its third-person shooter aspects and the game's overall structure, but there are some other huge differences that separate the two. There are a few hints in Control that reference Alan Wake or 𝗧𝗪𝗜𝗧𝗧𝗘𝗥 in some way. However, that's a topic for another day. So like in any other video I make, I gotta cover some ground such as the story, the gameplay, and its characters. Then I will briefly go into the good, the bad, and the straight up weird. Starting off with... Control's story starts us off as the main character named 𝗧𝗪𝗜𝗧𝗧𝗘𝗥. Jessie has gone to visit the oldest house, also known as the FBC, Federal Bureau of Control, because she suspects they know where her brother is after his disappearance due to her run-in with a paranormal entity. As you traverse through the oldest house, you start to discover more and more mysteries and unravel the secrets the FBC has hidden behind closed doors, while also growing the power lurking within you. Using your key tool, the service weapon, your job as the new director is get rid of the hiss, the hostile force that has infected the bureau, discover the truth, and take control. That's the main premise of the story. The way the game feels as the story starts to unravel seems like you're some sort of superhero in a horror story, which leads me on to the next part. The gameplay feels a lot more immersive and environmental. It's also important to note that it's less linear than Remedy's previous games. One thing to mention about the story and the gameplay and how it intertwines is that it's super flexible for players who like to take things at their own pace. This game gives you that luxury. All the more reason for you, the player, to feel like they are truly in control. The locations are vast and twisted around the horrific style the game aims for. The oldest house is this featureless, bleak, plain looking office building in the center of Manhattan, where inside it's just plastered with offices as far as the eye could see. It's creepy because it's so sealed off from the outer world, and inside the building itself it feels almost endless since the locations are so massive. One last thing I want to mention is abilities. The supernatural abilities you unlock throughout the game are essential to your progress. They can be used to attack, defend, and manipulate your surroundings, and to be used as a weapon. Along with that comes your primary weapon, the service weapon. With that, you can upgrade it into different types of guns with all sorts of perks. Just a little something to make things easier for you. 𝗧𝗪𝗜𝗧𝗧𝗘𝗥 is the new girl in the office who just by chance happens to become the new director. Even though she rejects the title as director, she still takes it upon herself to deal with the hiss that has infiltrated the FBC, which in a way makes sense. She doesn't feel like someone who's just tossed into this crazy messed up world. As the story progresses, you can get an understanding that it's almost as if Jessie belongs there. As mentioned before, Jessie has had experience with the paranormal in her past, so her connection to the oldest house and why she's drawn to it perfectly aligns with her end goal. Jessie feels like a juxtaposition to what the Bureau is and how you'd expect everyone to be like if they worked there. She's a newcomer who doesn't exactly fit in. One of the good things about this is that she stands out from the rest due to the way she thinks, her problem solving, her intuition, and the most obvious, her stylish appearance. A lot of effort has gone into the design of 𝗧𝗪𝗜𝗧𝗧𝗘𝗥. The actress who plays and voices Jessie, Courtney Hope, seems to really care about the character and puts some effort into bringing her to life. Like for instance, in some of the cinematic cutscenes, they include some elements of live action. I honestly thought that was spot on and a brilliant tie into the Alan Wake / 𝗧𝗪𝗜𝗧𝗘𝗥 gaming style. And yeah, that's about it. Now let's finally go on to the good, the bad, and the weird. Stuff that I loved. It's a third-person shooter. If there's a certain gaming style that I like, it's gotta be this. I like the aspect of having your character right there in front of you so you can see them as you traverse through the game, while also having a wider field of view. I also can't help but feel like I perform a lot better in these types of games. Number 2. The overall feel. Original, unique, and very unusual. It doesn't feel like a sequel to Quantum Break, although people make it out to be. It feels very original and very creative. 3. The set. The main stages you're going to run into are the offices, and what makes it so special is that there's not a lot of things that can make this sort of setting so intense, but in this game, that's exactly what it sets out to do. The everyday things you would see in an office building feel like a death trap, and I freaking love it. It's a perfect blend of realism mixed with weirdness. 4. Weapon design. The creative choices that went into your gun, the service weapon, looks really cool. Pierce, shatter, grip, spin, and so on. The designs look really blocky and out of this world, almost alien-like. And 5. Abilities. Abilities make you feel empowered, almost as if you're a god amongst the hiss. That is, if you have the right perks and you time your attacks correctly. Stuff that I didn't like. The distance between the control points. The control points in the game act as respawn points, and they were so frustrating. They were way too far apart from each other, and having to run all the way back to the section I had to clear was both tedious and challenging. There were many instances where I got so fed up I would eject the disc and almost throw it at a wall, but I persevered and beat the game while getting that sweet 100% trophy, so that was the only good thing to come out of it. 2. Lastly, the unengaging characters. I felt little to no attachment to any of these characters. Apparently the community loves the janitor. Not me though. I was extremely creeped out by him, and I jumped to the conclusion that he was the one behind the hiss, but once again with my assumptions I was way off. I get that some characters try to be comedic, like for example in this interaction.
Man, I never thought I'd be working in the executive sector. Look at me now, Ma.
But it just doesn't land. Pretty much everyone else you interact with are just really bland people. The worst example being the character Marshall. Spoilers for the Foundation DLC. Marshall ends up corrupted by the hiss. We fight her, kill her, and Jesse is literally unfazed by it.
Well, fuck you too.
Same goes for everyone else. And man, does it make her death feel so hollow. Remedy, you gotta work on giving your side characters more meaning. That's it, onto the weird. For this final part, I'm not going to list it out. I'm just going to summarize pretty much everything I came across that had me on edge, while also making me admire the creative choices the developers made in this game. Control kind of breaks the mold in a way. It's striking yet creepy. It paints this false image of something ordinary, then twists it into something horrific. The soundtrack can be action-packed but also unsettling when you come across something that some would say is unnatural. A good example of this is the hiss. The hiss clearly contrasts the boring aesthetic look the oldest house has, which makes it all the more freaky. Victims of the hiss float above your head, lifeless until called upon. The enemies are a sight to behold, with each one being different from the last, and it successfully sets up the type of tone the sequences in the game goes for. However, with all this chaos, there's a certain style and beauty to Control. Title cards that erupt on the screen are big and bold. Instead of the classic waypoint arrow guiding you from location to location, instead the game has signpostings on the wall. As mentioned before, the visuals that went into this game were really impressive. Mixing in live action with CG cutscenes was definitely an impressive feat. And lastly, the simplicity of the astral plane is truly a sight to behold. Overall, Control is just shrouded in mystery and exploration. You gotta be really into that sort of thing to truly experience it and enjoy it as much as I did. I'm not saying this isn't a game for casual players, but for those who are interested into diving deep into what the game has to offer, this game certainly has that. If you feel like there's nothing more to this than the story, then I guarantee you there are many things to uncover. Become the director, defeat the hiss, and take control. Alright, thank you for watching. I've been playing this game for weeks like I mentioned before, and it is so addictive. If it wasn't obvious, I highly recommend it. If you're over on PlayStation, head over to the store, and they're currently doing a sweet deal where you can get 40% off the Ultimate Edition, which includes both DLCs for only $19.79. For such a massively detailed game, that's really cheap. So if you're interested in the slightest, I would give it some thought because the deal will expire on the 28th. So, you know, no pressure. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you feel like. Comment, subscribe, and I will see you around. Bye bye.